Welcome back, everyone. It's the Bourbon Judge. We are going to have a little bit of fun today with a brand that this might be, honestly, in all seriousness, maybe one of the biggest brands out there that just me personally, my palate does not align with at all. Jefferson's bourbon. But before we dive into this Jefferson's Tropics Age and Humidity, let me go ahead and give a huge welcome to my newest patron, my good friend Ben Roberts. So Ben, hey, welcome to the Judge family. Thanks for becoming a patron, supporting the channel, as well as I should say thank you for all my other patrons, all the ladies and all the men that we have supporting the channel. Really do appreciate the support. And all the love and camaraderie that we have between Discord, our happy hours, our barrel picks, and so forth. So thank you, Ben. Cheers to you, my friend. All right, so this brand, again, kind of going back to Jefferson's. So Jefferson's, let me give you a bit of history let me give you my history with Jefferson's. So, of course, obviously Jefferson's, they make the small batch, they make a reserve, they make several different other variety of different bourbons, if you will, from like a sub-brand perspective. However, what really, I think for me, I've always kind of felt that Jefferson's was producing just decent source whiskey. Just decent, right? Nothing great, kind of bland as a whole. And honestly, I've always kind of felt like the whole Jefferson's aged at the ocean, the whole concept to me personally was very gimmicky. And from that standpoint, I never honestly enjoyed the whiskey. It was just something that was just okay. Essentially very bland whiskey, and honestly they're kind of covering up with the whole gimmicky concept of aging their whiskey and like this ocean liner and so forth. So it's never really worked well for the Judge. But one of my good friends, my buddy Carlos over at Whiskey Corner, by the way, check out Carlos's YouTube channel. Such a cool guy. He was like, hey Judge, Jefferson's, as you know, came out with this new Tropics Age and Humidity. He's like, you need to check it out. He's like, it's worth a pour. So he sent me a sample. So thank you, Carlos. I appreciate you, my man. I'm gonna go ahead and pour this bad boy, let it breathe for a little bit. So this is their newest release. Came out in September. So it came out just a few months ago. So essentially what this is all about. So essentially they took 720 barrels of Kentucky bourbon that they sourced, of course, as well. They shipped it over to Singapore. So number one is already like that whole ocean liner kind of method, if you will, right? Because they shipped it over to Singapore, and it sat in Singapore for 18 months. So literally 18 months it sat in Singapore. What's unique about Singapore, now I've actually had a lot of friends that have been to Singapore, even worked in Singapore as well. The humidity in Singapore is just extreme. Year round, they average around 84% humidity year round. So like, obviously here in the US, yeah, it gets hot in a lot of places, even gets really humid down in the South as well. However, it's not 84% humidity fully year round. So that's the biggest, I guess, unique difference about Singapore is that humidity and the heat itself. So it's extremely hot. And supposedly this heat and the humidity is supposed to make a huge impact on this Kentucky bourbon that sat there for 18 months. We'll see. I don't know, right? Well, we will see. Let's get into this real quick. So I want this bad boy to open up a little bit. Haven't even had a sip of it yet. A couple other things about this one as well. So they then, after 18 months, shipped it back over to the US, where the founder as well as master blender Trey Zoeller, he wanted to kind of bring the proof down to be exactly where he felt it was perfect. So the whiskey going over obviously was cask strength, but when it came back, he proofed it down to 104 proof, which is where he felt the whiskey was absolutely fantastic. So the question remains, is this a brand that's going to make me change my mind? Or am I going to stick with the, I don't know. We shall see, folks. I'm just, I don't know. This brand itself, everything about Jefferson's to me is just so gimmicky. I don't know. All right, so it came out back in September. No exact age statement, right? No exact age statement. But it is sourced whiskey, sourced Kentucky straight bourbon. MSRP, now this is the kicker. MSRP $99.99, so $100 bottle, right? So $100 plus tax in most states. You're spending like $108, $110. So it's not cheap either. It's definitely not cheap. So from a nose standpoint, I will say the nose on this is definitely better than most other Jefferson products that I've had in the past. That by itself. Again, we don't know the exact age. So this has like a very, it has actually a decent nose. I will say that. The nose is not fantastic, but it's decent. All right, you have some, traditional caramel, a little bit of oak, some like very faint notes of like some baking spices in the background. A little earthiness to it as well. A little peppery. So it's peppery, a little earthy. And maybe that's just the heat, right? Maybe the heat over in Singapore truly did do something to the whiskey itself. We shall see. But very earthy, a little peppery. Obviously some oak as well. Actually a good bit of oak. Caramel. Some baking spices. It's a very unique nose. This is not a traditional... It's not a traditional nose. There's no fruit in here. It's very different, actually. All right. $100 bottle. Jefferson's Tropic, aged in humidity. Aged 18 months over in Singapore. Well, as they say, there's only one way to find out. Hey, real quick, 3 quick easy favors. Number 1, hit the like button. Number 2, drop me a comment. What are your thoughts on Jefferson's as a brand, as well as Jefferson's Tropic, aged in humidity? And number 3, go ahead, hit the subscribe button, and also hit that bell so you get a notification each and every time I release new content. All right, folks, here we go. Cheers. What's interesting is, in the palate, there's a little bit more of like peanut kind of notes that came through. I didn't get those in the nose, but I did get those in the palate. A lot more notes, like some peanuts in there, but everything else that was in the nose did come through the palate as well. Very, very peppery, very earthy, very caramel forward as well. So you get a good bit of pepper, caramel, some oak. Oh, very earthy. It's very interesting. Peppery, caramel, some oak. That heat definitely did do something with the barrels, bringing out a lot more of like the oak from the barrels from the aging process. All right, not bad actually. Not bad. Let me get another sip. Cheers again. Okay. At 104 proof, palate is here, and then it almost seems like it's going to be a long finish, but then it quickly kind of fades away. Let me get a little bit more. All right. So, the judgment is in. Judge, is this a buy, a do not buy, or leave it on the shelf? For me, the verdict is in. This, it's still a do not buy. No way. No way. Is this whiskey good? Yes, it's actually better than all of the Jefferson's, like aged at Ocean. Different versions I've had, different batches in previous releases. Absolutely, way better than all those. But it is a $100 plus tax, $110 bottle? Absolutely not. What would I pay for this? I do think the whiskey is actually decent. It's a decent daily sipper, but I'm not spending $110 on a decent daily sipper. For me, I would put this at like $50, $55. I mean, there's so many other great whiskeys in that $50, $55 range that I would buy over this, for me personally. Barstown products, Sagamore products, even a Jack Daniels, barrel strength, single barrel barrel strength product that sits on shelves for $62, $63. I buy that every day, always, over this. This is a really good daily sipper, but it's a good $50 to $55 bottle at best. I love the concept. I think it's really cool. They're trying to be, I guess creative, if you will. It's still, honestly, that little bit gimmicky. It really is. I think you can just age the whiskey here if you want. You can even age it in another state for a little bit longer if you want, like even like a state like Texas or Georgia if you wanted to change it up a little bit. I don't think you really needed to go to Singapore for this, honestly. Good whiskey, just way overpriced, and honestly, you're not getting the quality of what you're looking for. A good pour, but not a $110 pour. That is a unique difference. Hey, my friends, until the next time, peace, cheers, and most important, salute. Take care.